What's up, everybody? This is Jaime Delgado with the Full Spectrum Experience coming to you live and direct and in full effect. I'm playing with these new settings, trying to figure this all out. Gonna have my friend Andy on a little bit, hopefully. We'll see if we can figure this out. But let me play with my settings here, so you can see who's speaking to you. All right. Let's see. Let's see if it's working. I'm mostly gonna be talking to myself here because I don't have nobody in the chat or logged in, so it's just gonna be me talking to myself amongst you. So this live episode is gonna be me and my friend Andy. He's gonna be coming on here in a little bit, hopefully. Again, if I can figure this out. Hey, you're gonna go along with us as we learn how to do all this stuff. We're gonna learn and grow as we go. That's all we can do. So I know everyone's dealing with all the madness that's going on right now. Some people are in better spots than others, but if you're doing a good spot, hey, good for you. Everyone else out there, if you're struggling, if you're stressing out, don't worry. We got some good news for you guys. Well, hopefully it's good news to you, because some people are in worse situations than others. But as I fumble around here for a little bit, I'm gonna see if I can get my friend Andy on right now. Let me see if I can get some people in the chat. I didn't really promote this beforehand. I just wanted to play around with the settings, see how it works, see how it goes. Pardon me as I contact my people. Like I said, well, as the title it says Q&A with friends. So if people come in, whether they do or not, I'm still gonna be here doing what I gotta do. I guess I can kind of fill you guys in on what this is about. The Full Spectrum Experience. It started off as a podcast for. It was created to explore the entirety of existence as broadly and deeply as possible to the power of conversation and the art of storytelling. But of course, since it's a full spectrum experience, we can go in and out of topics, or it's gonna go wherever I feel I want to go. I'm not gonna hold myself down to anything. I'm a big proponent of free will, especially when I'm in my own environment. I follow a lot of other people's podcasts. They're very focused, and they got strict topics that they follow. A lot of them are researchers. Me, I kind of just follow along with other people's research and take it from there. Try to figure out how it applies to how I live my life, and then proceed accordingly. But some of the people whose work I follow, I'll mention over and over again who that is. The work of James Corbett. Highly respect his work. From the Corbett Report. His latest documentary, The Greatest Depression. I recommend watching it because it kind of shows a little bit, the background story, what's going on. What the higher ups have in the works for us. Because a lot of people say there's no plan. But someone's up to something. All right, and I got my friends contacting me here. We can try to get a Zoom setup going if I can figure that out, which shouldn't be too hard. Hopefully, we'll see. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Gonna try to get the zoom set up here. I could have swore I was already logged in, but let me see what's going on here. Okay. Alright. Let's see. Like everything, when you start off something new, there's gonna be a fumbling and stumbling around at the beginning. So, you know, bear with me. Like I said, this is a learn and grow as we go operation. So if you're watching this in the future, you know that's what's going on. I'm just trying to figure all this stuff out. So I'll be using Zoom, even though I know there's been a lot of security concerns and people Zoom bombing people's Zoom sessions. But I tried it out. My friend got me onto it. He uses it for his work. So tried it out. Seems to be, you know, pretty good. Okay. Okay, I think we got something going on here. Alright, let me... Here we go. Let's see if this works. Hey, what? It's working, but it's kind of weird, but alright. Let me see. It's gonna be interesting session here. Alright, let me figure out. Kind of like faded into the background here for some reason. Let me get some people invited here. Alright, in the meantime, let me see what's going on with my settings. How do I... We got multiple things going on right now, so there might be some silence happening here and there. I don't know how this is. You see me moving around because I'm also watching the Zoom screen, and it's like a little. I wish you could, let me see if I can share this with you guys. Give you a little behind the scenes look at what's going on here. You're gonna see shit happening twice. Oh shit! Look at me, I'm everywhere. Fuck, dude. It's Jaime into infinity. So you can see my face is like all like blending into the background for some reason. It must be because I have like multiple things going on. I'm gonna go back to the basics for you. There we go. That should be what you guys are seeing. All right. Okay, I'm hosting him. Oh wait. Don't do that. All right. Where's my meeting settings here? Oh, okay, here we go. I think I might have found it. Did I? Let's see. Okay, let me invite people here. What? Oh, okay. I think I figured this out. Let's get Andy in here. Wait. Hopefully I'm not streaming this because okay, no, yeah, I'm good. Putting out all the top secret info. Which would be cool if you guys want to Zoom bomb. You know, we'll be able to handle it over here. We ain't, you know, we ain't afraid to be confronted or whatever. We can always, like I said, we're gonna learn and grow as we go. We're gonna stumble and fumble along the way, but that's how it is when you're learning something new. Which I suggest everyone do right now in this time of, you know, lockdown or supposed lockdown. Just because they tell you to lockdown doesn't mean you have to lockdown. You know, I'm not one of those people who are, you know, will be a good little boy and follow the orders of somebody for their stupid reasons. I'm a big proponent of free will. You know, you do what you want. You're gonna have to pay for the consequences, but you can still do what you want. You know, can't be afraid to face the consequences of your actions because that's what it just what it is. You know, you're a free human being, whether you think so or not, whether you believe it or not. I know there's like all kinds of people say, "Oh, we're not free. This isn't a free country." Blah blah blah. Well, you can still defy them. You can still revolt. You can still push back. You know, you have to accept everything that they want you to. You know, they want you to feel powerless. They want you to feel like you're, you know, like you're stuck. Why the hell is this thing? It's like I'm blending into the background here. There we go. All right, got it fixed. All right. Now that we got that fixed, let's go into. Let's see. Let's try this out. Shit. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go on and on into infinity. Okay, so apparently I fucked up. Alright, let's see if this helps. Okay. Oh, gave him the wrong info. That's my bad. I'm delaying the homies from coming in here. Let's see. I'm spreading misinformation. Oh, I've become the enemy. Shit. Alright, hopefully this comes out in some kind of... It might just be me that you see, and then hopefully you'll be able to hear my homie's voice as he comes on. It's going to be a learning process for me. Let's see what we're 16 minutes in. It's alright. This is how we learn, man. Come to the full spectrum experience where we learn shit live. You can see me get distracted by my other side projects that I got going on. Speaking of other side projects, the full spectrum experience is proudly sponsored by the Vegan Supreme. That's for my other little side hustles. We do like healthier vegan alternatives to your favorite, foods, snacks, sweets and treats and whatnot. If you want to check out what's going on with that, what we got going on there, you can check us out on Instagram, the Vegan Supreme. You can see I posted one of the pictures of yesterday, so if you guys want to check that out. If you're local to the our area here, the Inland Empire of Southern California, the Inland Empire consists of Riverside and San Bernardino counties, which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe San Bernardino County is the largest county geographically in the United States, I believe. So as the Inland Empire combined with Riverside County, I think it's the biggest geographical region in the United States in California. So we cover a lot, it's a large area out here, but I'm like kind of right near the border. I'm stationed here in Yucaipa right now. Grew up in Banning, went to school in Beaumont, lived in Cherry Valley. Oh, see, let me see. Okay, we got Andy coming in right here. So let's bring him right now. I want to welcome to the podcast my good friend Andy Velasquez. What's up, Andy?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, yeah, I'm like fumbling and stumbling around here trying to figure this stuff out, but
Cool. Oh yeah.
got you in. I'm not sure if I can figure out how to get you on the actual stream.
No problem.
Yeah, I'll have to
As
figure
long
that
as you
out.
can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. So your voice should be coming on in
Cool.
in the video. So
Cool.
we'll figure this
Did you
out.
did you happen to watch that video I sent you?
Which one?
The one from I think it was from Corbett, where he showed the WHO, where he showed the World Health Organization, and they were talking about uh, taking people out of their houses because the people who are now infected are in people's houses, and they need to humanely take people out of their houses because of this reason.
I'm not sure if I watched that one.
Uh,
Was that one of his newer videos?
It's one of his newer videos, yeah.
I've seen most of them, but I'm not sure if I've seen that one.
It was a short video. It was like an 8-minute video. It's pretty short. 8-minute clip.
Oh, okay, is that the I know the one.
It's part of the questions for Corbett.
Oh, okay, the newer one.
Yeah, well, not the newest one, but it was on yesterday.
Because I watched both of them. The one where one of his viewers asked if there was like any he was like trying to find like the money trail to see if there's any evidence of people who had any foreknowledge of the event, and he kind of broke that all down.
Yeah.
He was breaking down like the
No, no, that
all the
was
moves I
part
have
of the
in
reason I
one.
wanted to have like a Q&A today. You know, that's the reason I asked you. I'm like, what are your thoughts on having like a Q&A? You know,
Yeah, yeah, I'm down.
having it over the podcast, and then kind of getting ideas out there.
You can go anywhere we want, man.
All right, cool. So the first question I have is, well, I don't even know where. So let's begin with that one.
Okay.
Let's begin with, what are your thoughts on uh, do you think this was pre-planned, or do you think people were really going like, is this kind of is this conspiracy theorist? Is this somebody like overthinking something and just going, not realizing like, hey, the government's just trying to help out people and they're trying to make sure that nobody gets infected? Or do you think there was prior knowledge to what they were going to do and how they actually went through with it? You know?
In his one episode, let me see if I can pull it up. He kind of that's the one he goes over with on his questions for Corbett, because one of the viewers asked him what the, you know, if there was like foreknowledge of it, and he kind of broke that all down. He went pretty in depth, and from what I was gathering from it, it looked like it's hard to say that there was like a group of people who know beforehand and kind of set things in motion. You know, it's more like it was a bunch of different groups who were all kind of like, you know, on the same agenda, kind of, and doing things separately, but moving in the same direction. And so he went into like, you know, the question of whether it's was it a bioweapon that was engineered, you know, in a lab, or did it just was something that just happened, you know, naturally? And he references those articles in Nature.
What was it what they originally told everybody, which is people, there was this wet market and people were eating bat soup or bat something, they contracted the coronavirus. To me, that's hilarious because I'm like, this is the kind of story you hear usually when you hear people talk about some kind of viral infection that happens. There's some kind of weird monkey, or for example, that one. The HIV started because somebody fucked a monkey. That to me was hilarious. You know, I'm like,
I was
there's always like some kind of animal that needs to be something needs to happen to an animal for you to contract this virus. You know.
I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of, you know, we both follow people like Freeman Fly and you know, like the guests they have on the Higher Side Chats with Rick Carwood. A lot of the ones who are into like the occult and like esoteric, you know, like it leads into like the satanic shit and like the symbolism.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder, is there like symbolism associated with like why they, you know, pick certain animals, like swine flu, you know, mad cow disease, you know, this coronavirus was, you know, came from a bat, you know. Is there like symbolism associated with these animals? It's just me wondering, you know, because they're big on symbolism, you know. And so that's kind of what I was thinking, kind of the same thing. It's always, why is it always, you know, coming from these animals that somehow these diseases cross over into us?
Well, what's interesting is to start seeing the actual correlation between what people were studying and then what actually got released into the public. You know, like I always try to tell people, like, yeah, I've been asked by like family members, like, do I not feel that this is real? I'm like, no, I think there's a virus out there. Like, I'm not trying to tell people there is no virus. Like, don't just because like people are overhyping it, because I'm telling people are overhyping it, like not believe that there's a virus out there. Like, there's probably is a virus out there. It's probably doing a lot of damage because they were studying this shit for a while, you know? Like, there's a lot of proof that there was a lot of money being invested into studying coronaviruses that were actually developed from bats, you know?
Yeah.
Like people going into caves and trying to find these weird, exotic coronaviruses, you know?
Yeah, and in that Questions for Corbett, he was bringing that up, how in Nature they had published the work of some scientists who were studying, you know, viruses, viri, whatever, how you say it, you know, and they were kind of like messing with them to see, you know, how quickly they can get it to spread, you know, how
how infectious they would,
Yeah.
and
all that
see
kind of stuff.
how they transmit to humans and this
Yeah.
and that. Yeah, that was interesting. That was real. I like the fact that he actually, and I think we should actually maybe even link that same thing to this podcast. You know,
Yeah.
so people can actually go see that. Like that was interesting because it's from Nature. Like it's not some
Nature's like it's a well-known, reputable scientific.
Yeah, it's not some fucking guy with a temple that. Like, this is from Nature.
Yeah.
It's from the people that mainstream media fucking actually trust. You know.
Right.
And what's funny is like they were questioning, going like, I don't know if we should be doing this.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Other scientists were calling him out.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a real reason to do this, you know.
And then he that's when he went into like the financial stuff, like who was funding these things, and then he was mentioning how there were certain groups who were being funded to like watch over different virus outbreaks, like globally. But then right before this one broke out, their funding was cut. And so he says, oh, what a coincidence, their funding was cut right before, and he made the comparison to 9/11, like how, George Bush saying,
our system just happened not to work that day.
Yeah, George Bush was saying, we could have never imagined people with terrorists flying up planes into buildings,
Even though we were practicing this exact same war scenario.
And it's exactly what they were like predicting, but he says like, oh, we could have never predicted that, like, no, yeah, you did. Like, here's the documents to prove that you were looking at that, And same thing he was calling out, or I'm not sure if it was him or Derek Rose, it might have been both of them, calling out Bill Gates. Because Bill Gates recently said like, oh, there's no way we could have, known that this was happening. It's like, Event 201 was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And Event 201 was like specifically, looking at this. And I know it wasn't something that just happened overnight. You could think that takes.
It was interesting because like I've always known like the story of Bill Gates. I have known the story of how he got to the position he got to. Like I've always known the story of like he never really made anything.
Yeah.
He fucking swindled and cheated his way to this position where he became this power.
Yeah.
I always understood the other thing. Like I think you brought it up a while back, and it kind of cleared it up the other day when I actually saw the documentary the little presentation that Corbett put together, where even Steve Jobs like was upset because not so much because like Bill Gates, because of like Microsoft fucking stealing all their ideas. He was mad because like he went in to rob the fucking house and like somebody had already gone in there and robbed it for him, robbed the place before him.
I think that was something that Bill Gates said about Steve Jobs. He's like, Steve Jobs is mad because he went to break into a house to steal some shit, and he found out I'd already been there and stole all the shit.
Well, it was interesting. Like I didn't really know like that part of it. The fact that they were both like taking something that was already developed by Xerox. Isn't that what the whole thing is? Like Xerox had already developed all this, and next they had gone in there and robbed it.
Yeah.
It made it their own and tried to fucking.
Well, Microsoft started. I remember because I used that program. Do you remember MS DOS?
I remember MS DOS. Yeah.
That was like the first operating system that Microsoft had, and it wasn't developed by Bill Gates. He had bought it off somebody who had already developed it, and how he made his money was he didn't sell it. It wasn't an operating system that he actually sold. It was licensed, meaning that you were just given permission to use this piece of software, this operating system.
Yeah.
And then you couldn't just say you had a company and you had like 100 computers. You couldn't buy that one piece of software and install it on those computers. You had to buy a license for each computer that you wanted to install that software on. That's how he made his money in the early days, And of course, it's like some things like that need to be enforced. There's certain things that you can't just say, hey, it's gonna be this way, and then people will follow along with it. Especially when it's something like digital. Like you can install it once on something. You can install it.
What's crazy is
on whatever you. Like,
nobody even questions that anymore. Like I've noticed like that's become the standard. That's become uh, I was talking to somebody at work the other day, and they were bringing up the fact that John Deere,
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Exactly. That's
because
exactly.
people were buying tractors, John Deere tractors or whatever,
And you think you
and
own
John
it?
Deere's like, and they're like, yeah, you own the tractor, but you don't own the software, so you can't work on this product yourself. Like, you don't
Yeah,
own this.
yeah. And that's what do they call that?
This is proprietary fucking information. This is proprietary fucking stuff that we developed, you know.
And there's people who are fighting against
And
it. It's
people are
called
going like, if people are going like, I paid $500,000. Like, I own this. I should.
yeah,
This is mine. Like, how?
yeah. It's called people are fighting back. They're using it. They're calling it the right to repair. Like if I bought something and I own it, I should be able to repair it. I shouldn't have to
Yeah,
take it back to the manufacturer or take if it's mine, I should be able to take it apart, do whatever I want with it. But they're saying like no, you
exactly.
can't. And I say
Because
yes, you can.
what's funny, well, I I understand it from the manufacturer side. Like, oh, like you if you go in there and you fuck something up though, like, and now you want me to pay, you want me now to like cover the fact that you damaged something that I
I
gave you.
can
I understand.
I
I
can
kind of
understand that.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of
But if it's
understand that. But at the
broken
same,
and I can fix it, but you won't allow me to fix it, that's
that's
different.
a different story. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a different story. Yeah, because that's the question at heart is this is like people are going like I don't want to take it back to John Deere because you guys are charging me an arm and a leg to fucking fix this.
When I
I'd
can figure
rather
out how to do
just
it
if I can
myself.
fix it myself, I'd rather fix it myself. It's a
Yeah.
lot cheaper than taking it back to you,
It'd be
being
like
without this equipment for however long it needs to be out or whatever, you know.
it'd be like you trying to change your oil, but you can only take it to the dealership, and they're charging you $200. You're like, I know how to do an oil change. Like what?
Exactly.
Like I could do it for way cheaper. Why are you preventing me from doing that?
Which is interesting because like there is cars out there like they charge you like like there is cars out there that will charge you $1,000 to go fucking do an oil change. You know, like,
And
that's the reason I don't have those cars.
yeah, and a lot of times that's how they design it. It's
True.
designed that way.
Yeah.
It's designed in such a way where it's like, nah, you got to come to us. And that's one thing I see and that I'm against is like manufacturer dependence. It's like they're designing things for you to be dependent on them,
True.
which is the opposite of that's like the opposite of freedom. It's like you're creating people to be dependent on you and not be able to.
Well,
You're making things harder than they need to be.
well, here's an interesting question. This is kind of off topic, but on the same kind of subject or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on this whole UBI thing that's kind of being forced on everybody right now? What is your thoughts on this? Like the whole fact that everybody right now is getting their fucking stimulus check. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's all excited to see $1,200 on their fucking account
Right.
the other day because like that's the first round went out. You know. And now people are talking about like, oh no, the government's coming in and saying that they're eventually going to start giving you $2,000 every month or some bullshit or every week or whatever the fuck it is, you know?
Yeah.
For this UBI, and I'm like, are they in essence trying to make dependency? What are your thoughts? Like, what are your thoughts? You know, I kind of see it as they are. I kind of see it as like they're trying to create dependency on the government. You know,
right? It's they're gonna try to do things the way they want it to be done, and it's up to us to either accept it or even they're gonna try to do what they're trying to do. We always have the ability to be like, all right, you're trying to do this, but we're not gonna accept completely what you're trying to do. And what I mean by that is, okay, yeah, like if if they're giving money out, like who's gonna be like, no, I don't want it, like I don't agree.
true,
with
exactly.
Like, no one's
yeah,
gonna do
and
that.
I wouldn't blame anybody for
Yeah.
going like you're retarded for even bringing this up. But of course, I want
Yeah.
$2,000 every month,
Right.
For not working, for not doing shit. Like I don't see a problem with that.
Until now, if they take it in this direction, like they do in China, where they have like a social credit system. Your UBI is based off of, hey, have you been a good little boy and girl? Are you obeying orders? Are you doing what we're telling you to do? You are? Okay, here's your money. You're not? You're trying to speak out against us? You're trying to do things on your own? You're trying to, you're trying to live life on your own terms? You're trying to figure things out for yourself? Nah, cut them. Like cut them off. and no income for you, you know. Like if that starts going in that direction, that's when I start seeing, like you said, yeah, like they want, uh, yeah, they're trying to like create dependence, which if it all depends on you know like what they're not telling you, like they are like James Corbett always saying, the devil's in the details. What are what are the details behind this? Like for another example is they're trying to do people with their rent and their mortgages and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're gonna do a moratorium on evictions, and then after the lockdown's over and people get back to work, or whatever, then they'll give you a payment plan to repay what is like. Wait a minute, no, like, like that's not, like I could see, like, all right, these 2 months, like, we'll just forget about it, because it affected everybody. But that's not what they're gonna do. At least that's what I'm hearing that they're not gonna do. They're like, oh, okay, you missed 2-3 months of rent. We're gonna give you a year to pay that back, on top of you having to pay your rent.
On top of the rent that you're already having to pay.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's like people ain't gonna be able to, keep up with that.
It's almost like they're creating this hole and then expecting you to somehow dig yourself out of it. Like they're forcing this hole on you. Yeah. That was the interesting part about the fact that people were protesting. Like I don't know if people are protesting for that, but that's one of the reasons why you should be protesting. That's one of the reasons you shouldn't be following. For example, like the other day, I fucking went to the store and some lady had to tell me. She's like, I didn't wear a mask in there. I'm like, I don't believe in this whole. I don't believe in it the way they're telling it to me. The way it's being spun,
Yeah.
So I didn't wear a mask while I was in there, and the lady, the cashier, I didn't argue with her. I'm like, I understand how people are panicked. I'm not trying to argue with people when people are panicked.
Right.
I'm not trying to like point her out to be like a fucking like a bad person or anything like that.
Right.
But she had the nerve to tell me like, hey, heads up, like if you don't wear a mask in here, we're not stopping people from shopping in here, but if you don't wear a mask, the police right now are giving Laura, I don't remember the sum, but she said some fucking ridiculous amount of money that they're fining people for not wearing masks, and up to 90 days in jail for not wearing a mask. And I'm like, do you understand what you're telling me? Do you understand that you're telling me that you're gonna give people a jail time for not wearing a mask, when at the same time the government's telling me that they're releasing prisoners because they have too many prisoners in these prisons, and they're afraid of the spread of the COVID in these prisons, so they're releasing prisoners. But instead now they're telling me that they're going to put me in jail, somebody from the outside who might have the COVID, bringing them into the jail to spread the COVID. You get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
A lot of what's going on doesn't make sense, and it's like a lot of it's contradictory. For example, I saw a post online. I think it was from the CDC, and it was saying, oh, wear your masks, like, wash your hands, stay within, whatever, But what was interesting was all the people in the comment section. Like, one lady was saying, or one, I'm not sure, you never, when it's online, you never know who's behind the profile picture and who's actually typing the thing, There's lots of trolls out there, so unless you know the person personally, you gotta really, take this with a grain of salt. But they were saying, like, save the N95 max for the health workers. And this is one thing that oh shit, what's going on?
Hudson's going crazy. Stop. Go, lay down. Go.
But one of the ladies in the comment section was saying, oh yeah, like if you have, wear your mask or handkerchief, whatever, and save the N95 mask for the healthcare workers. And that's one of the things that kind of sounds contradictory. It's like this is how I was thinking of it. Don't try to prevent yourself from getting coronavirus. Wait till you have it. That's kind of what that's saying, right? Don't do your best to prevent, getting it. Whether it's wearing the mask, which they say doesn't help, the there's two sides to that. People say it's not for the person wearing it, so that if you have it but not showing symptoms, like so that you don't spread it to other people. Which is like okay, like if I have it and I'm not seeing, and if I'm not displaying symptoms, like what's the problem? Like why aren't they studying those people?
Exactly.
that
To me, like that whole part of it, like I wish Arnold was on here because that part of it doesn't make any sense to me. So you're telling me if I'm asymptomatic and let me see if I can find a way to hold this phone. So you're telling me if I'm asymptomatic and I'm not showing any symptoms, that I'm just spreading the disease everywhere. Like, so what's spreading it then? Is it just my touch? Anything that I touch right now is infected with this? Like, how does that work? They're telling me that it's your saliva that has it, or you know what I'm saying? It's your mucous membrane that has it.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be me sneezing that would be causing it? If I'm not sneezing on anybody, like how am I spreading it then?
Right. And then that's why there's too many things that are like contradictory to it. It's not, again, like you were saying, it's not to say that it doesn't exist. It's not to say that people aren't being affected by it. It's just that there's lots of not just unanswered questions, but unasked questions. And that's one
Exactly.
thing. That's one thing that I've been thinking about. Is like people aren't even like That's one reason why I listen to Derek Rose from the Conscious Resistance. I just watched the one he just posted another video. I just watched it before I jumped on here, and he was saying now's the time to be thinking critically. And that's one thing that's always been throughout my life been important to me. Like how to think critically, how to think for yourself. Not to just discredit everyone tells you, but just to take it in and think like, does this make sense? Does this sound reasonable? What is it? Like? There's lots of things that you have to factor and weigh in. On how to understand something. And there's too many, like I said, too many unanswered questions and too many unasked questions, like important questions. Like why aren't they talking about the people who have gotten it but got over it? Who got through it? How come there's not a big focus on those people? Like, hey, what are these people doing different than the people who are getting it and coming down with it and dying from it? And then one person who is doing that is one of the people I follow, is Gary Null. I listen to his show every day, and he's got for me, in terms of like health and wellness and all those type of things, he's the most valuable resource in that area. And because he does really good breakdowns, and he's scientific. He pulls from all the science research, all of the peer-reviewed major publications, PubMed, all the major scientific journals and stuff. So he's it's scientifically vetted the information, but he kind of presents it in a way for you so it's understandable and like applicable. And that's one of the things he talks about. A lot of the people coming down with coronavirus and getting the major symptoms and who are the ones that are inevitably dying from it, also have what they call comorbidity, which is they have like underlying health conditions. They had something going on with their health before they got the coronavirus. So maybe they had like heart disease or like diabetes or what do they call that? COPD or all that all those kind of underlying health conditions. And he was making the point that he's like, oh, now, and then I've heard this too recently, I think from that guy Andrew Kaufman. And he's the one who said that the World Health Organization was advising people to put coronavirus as the death for any kind of respiratory or any kind of any kind of death that was even closely related. They just always put it as coronavirus. And so guess what Gary Null was pointing out? He's like, if you have coronavirus and you get hit by a train, you didn't die of coronavirus. You died from getting hit by a train. If you have coronavirus and you jump out a window and you slide on the ground, you didn't die of coronavirus. You died from sliding on the ground. But that's the kind of one of the games they're playing. And he also brings up another research thing that he was doing on the cases of like pneumonia and flu, the deaths from pneumonia and flu.
Yeah.
How up until they're like they stayed pretty steady, the incidences of death related to like pneumonia up until this coronavirus outbreak came out, and then all the instances of pneumonia deaths suddenly drop. Like, well, what does that tell you if you look at the data? They're trying to say that it's from coronavirus, but like, what if it was just like pneumonia or the other type of flu, or some other condition? They're conflating the numbers, and that's why it's hard to get a understanding of what's like how bad it is, and that's I do think there's something going on with it. I'm sure it's like a real thing, but I think they're playing on like the hyped up fear and panic. They're playing into that, and that kind of helps like what you were asking about earlier. Was this predetermined? Was this planned out? Like James Corbett says, well, pandemics, like outbreaks of like different viruses or whatever, are like a natural thing that happen every so often. Is that they're just using this one now to further their agenda. And he was making the other point about how like again during 9/11, this terror attack happened. All of a sudden they have this Patriot Act presented. Like they didn't just automatically out of nowhere come up with this Patriot Act. No, they had it sitting on the shelf ready to go in case something happened. And then whenever an event or a situation happens, they exploit it.
That was the interesting thing, because I remember like they brought that up right away. They were like, "Oh, here, heads up, we have something. We came up with this 1,000-page fucking bill." Like I think it was the guy from Stanford was bringing it up. He's like, "I don't believe there's any money in there. I don't think anything in there is like really says like, here's some money for the people at Stanford who are doing actual research to try to help out in the coronavirus." Like I don't think there's anything that says anything like that. But I haven't read all 1,000 pages, and it's funny that you brought that up because I'm like, that's pretty hilarious. That like right away they had a 1,000-page fucking bill when they came out with this. Like when everybody's on lockdown, like, hey, here's a 1,000-page bill. Like out of nowhere. Yeah. You don't write that over a week. Like that doesn't happen.
Right. The same thing happened when they were doing the, when that stimulus package came out. I don't know if you remember. They were talking. There was like a couple different ones that came out. One was under Maxine Waters. And I think another one was under Nancy Pelosi, and it was like talking about that bailout, and they were talking about trying to implement that the digital dollar. Like there was language in there for the digital dollar, in like both of them, but then they kind of like when it got revised or whatever, that language was taken out, and so you can kind of see it's like, oh, they're getting prepared to move these things in this direction, and that's kind of where people like James Corbett, Derek Bros, Gary Noel, all the people doing like understanding what's really going on behind the scenes with all that stuff is people need to be informed enough to be like, hey, to push back against it. Because hey, we don't want that. Like we're not gonna let you. James Corbett's always talking about that, how they talk about the boogeyman, like China as the boogeyman. Look at how they oppress their people. Look at how much control they have over there. They look at surveillance, But then they slowly try to start implementing that over here, like facial recognition.
Did you read that article? I think I sent you the article. It was Apple and Google are teaming up.
Yeah.
Making that for your protection, so you're protected.
We're here to keep you safe.
We're trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
By tracking you to make sure that you didn't come in contact with somebody who had the coronavirus. Like let's say that person had the coronavirus. We know where that person was, and we could track you, make sure that you weren't anywhere near them.
And again, I'm going to go back to what I was saying earlier. It's funny how they can use that technology, like they want to track you more, but they'll never use that technology to figure out, oh, what's this person doing that helps them fight off this virus better than these other people? The technology is not being used for that. Like not to like better like notify you, like, oh, hey, just so you know, like, if your health is in decline, you're more susceptible to contracting this virus or this disease. That's one thing that Gary Noel is bringing up. The highest instances in the United States of people contracting and dying from the coronavirus was in the South. And if you know anything about the diet of the people in the South, it's like super bad. Like They're
Yeah.
their rates of obesity are like way higher. And I remember learning that in health class way back in the day, that whenever you have one underlying health condition, it never comes by itself. There's always like a partner with it. You got obesity, you probably have diabetes also. You got diabetes, you probably also have high blood pressure. And so these things, combine, you're already like walking around, with a lowered immune system. Your immune system's already jacked.
It's highly compromised already.
Yeah, it's already compromised. So now you get exposed to this virus, which any other person who is it's hard to say, the other normal healthy people that America, that's not, there's very few people who are actually fit in that category of healthy.
Yeah.
But if you already have an immune system that's compromised and you get exposed to this virus, boom, now it hits you hard. And then when you die when it takes you out, they're not going to say that you died of obesity. You're not going to say that you died of heart disease. They're not going to say you died of diabetes or anything like that. It was because of coronavirus. And that's one thing. Were you able to check out that interview on London Real with David Icke?
Oh no, I haven't seen that one.
The one that got pulled down?
Yes, that was hilarious though. Like, because I'm kind of okay. So this is another question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on David Icke? Do you think that was done on purpose to kind of make people now go like, oh, I'm gonna talk about this in a very controversial manner, and now we have a reason to start pulling people who we deem controversial, because that's what's happening now. Anybody who talks negative about the coronavirus, automatically, like, did you see that? I sent you another article. There was an article from the EU talking about what's going on in Ukraine, I believe, where they're passing laws now that if you are deemed to be spreading rumors about the coronavirus that are deemed not beneficial to the public and are deemed conspiratorial or like not agreeing with them, basically, you can get fucking like fined and go up to like, I think they're giving people up to like 5 years in jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty crazy. But I'm like also seeing like people are trying to push that even here, like in our country, like they're trying to push the same thing. Like, if you don't agree with what we're telling you that is going on, we can automatically just start fucking blocking everything from you. You know what I'm saying? We can start making you like you're just a conspiracy theorist who's not talking our talking points, basically. Sorry, that was a long rant.
No, yeah, it's censorship and like an attack on your freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Like we haven't mentioned this because this is the first video podcast we're doing, like officially.
Sure.
But like I said on the other episodes, that quote from Aristotle: "It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to not accept or reject an idea." Meaning, like, we can just talk about something and not be able to not say like I accept or reject this. Like, let's just talk about the idea, and maybe through that get a better understanding of what's going on. And that's what they're trying to. Derek Rose was talking about. He mentioned in one of his videos, I think I was watching yesterday. He was going over a certain document, and when he mentioned it, I was thinking about my coworker, because he's all about the narrative, and it was control over the narrative. And like I mentioned to you that in that one text I sent you, like I think part of there's many like there's never one agenda. There's always a bunch of different agendas, and the world's a complex place with a bunch of billions of people on it and taking things in different directions, this way or that. But what I think the spreading of the fear and the panic of this pandemic plays into is
I think what's interesting, like kind of what you're bringing up. What's interesting right now is what you're seeing is like, not to say that all the governments are like aligned together, but you're almost seeing like they're eating off of each other. Like they see one do it, they're like, oh shit, like, here's our chance to like oppress even more. Like put some more oppressive shit into our government and really bring down anybody who wants to compete with us.
Right. And so what I think that also helps play into is because you've been seeing it a lot more lately. People were turning to alternative news, alternative media, independent media. They were going away from all the mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
And so what this pandemic helps do is helps bring everybody back into the fold. Like, hey, like come back because we have all this information that you guys need, from the CDC, from the World Health Organization. We need look at all these officials that we have that can come on our show and tell you what tell you what you need to do to keep yourself safe. Listen to all these doctors that we bring on. So that's what I think. Another thing it did was it kind of got people to turn away from their alternative and independent, which not everyone did. Not everyone's doing. Some people are still going. Like, no, I don't believe none of that bullshit. Like they're all kind of towing the line. They're all helping to spread the misinformation and the propaganda. And so control over the narrative that ties in with that. They want the mainstream, viewpoint. And James Corbett talks about this. The mainstream will talk about things in a certain way to keep people, what do they call it? There was a term that he uses for it. What they call it, water cooling, something like that. Like they'll allow you to talk about the controversial, conspiratorial aspect of something, but only in certain ways, and only ways that kind of fit with the mainstream narrative. So they don't want people talking about things in like outside of that.
Yeah.
And so that helps to perpetuate again their narrative, and that's what again that ties into like control. They don't want you talking about things in a way that they don't agree with. That's why like you were saying, whereas in Ukraine, they're actually making laws like if you spread like people are purposely spreading disinformation by just talking about things. like a conversation is like the conversation me and you are having. Like somehow this is supposed to be like an official, like our official stance on all this, like versus just being a conversation. Like we're not saying
exactly.
Like hey, like everything they could be saying could be 100% right, but we should be able to still challenge it. We can't just like everything, for some reason everything they say is correct and everything we say is wrong. Like how like that's unbalanced.
Exactly. Well, that was the interesting part is like how much fear it seems just by the way they're putting their laws together, like how much fear even like Ukraine, for example, has in people questioning what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? Like how much like you fear that so much, or you'll literally try to put people in jail for 5 years because you don't want anybody talking against any of the shit that you're doing, even though like most people know it's incorrect. You know what I'm saying? It's not right. It's not. I don't think it's right. There is no humane way for you to go into somebody's fucking house and pull them out of their house. Like I don't know how. You know what I'm saying? And for you to like be like, I don't think that's right. If you're saying that in Ukraine, or like if they have that talking about like, no, we need to go in there and start checking everybody and pulling people out of their houses if they have the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but that's where they told me to stay. They said stay home. And now they're taking me out of my home. Like again, it's like it's weird. It's like contradictory type shit.
Yeah,
it's like they say one thing, and then like there was a video I remember from a while ago that David Icke had, and it makes more sense to me now, and especially with the way I see they kind of like progressed with things. Like how things kind of progressed from the first okay, we're shutting down, or no, you can no groups of 250 or more. Remember how it started off? It was like 250, then it was like 100, then it went to 10, and they said like don't go outside. You can't serve people in the restaurant. Like okay, you can serve them, but just take out. You don't need to wear a mask. Okay, now you need to wear a mask. But make sure it's not N95 because we know this for the health workers. So wear this handkerchief. Wear the cloth. And what that is if you understand like manipulation and like mind control
Well,
type shit. That's called
well,
compliance.
what's funny
It's
is
compliance
understanding that.
in
I
short
don't think people
increments.
understand. I don't think most people understand that part of it. Like you can't hold contradictory ideas in your mind for too long without it almost like a like fucking up the way you think about things. You know what I'm saying? Because you're holding on to way too many contradictory ideas. Like they're telling you like, no, you don't wear a mask. Wear a mask. Don't wear this type of mask. Wear gloves. Stay away from people.
Yeah, and
I don't
that's
remember what it's called, but
that's it's like a form of, I think it's a form of fractionation,
yeah.
because if you can't, that's again, fear and like discombobulation, like all that's super useful in getting people to be more accepting of what you're trying to present to them, and go along with it. And okay, I found this video. I'll just play the audio from it, because it was
Right.
it's the one from David Icke, that one video I saw. Let me see how. Wait, let me make sure it's the right one, because he was giving a presentation on what they're like. Part of what they try to do is get people to comply. They need compliance. Like they need people to go along with it. And what he was saying was, he's like, no, you need to become like non-compliant. And so he came up with this thing called the non-comply dance. Instead of compliance, you need to do the non-comply dance. And let me tell you, this is it's probably better with the video. But I'll skip it because I don't have it pulled up correct. So, but yeah, he was saying like you have to do the non-compliant. You don't comply with them. Okay, looks like we got someone in the chat here. Phil McCracken. Let's see. Oh, and it looks like we got 9. Or wait, no, let's see. Looks like we had someone just come pop in real quick, say what's up, which is cool. we got a small audience going. Like,
Cool.
at the beginning of this, I was just like, because it's live, but I don't think there's anybody tuned in, so this would be like
Gotcha.
for future, for people who watch us in the future, and kind of see how like how we started this off,
So, well, since this is supposed to be a Q&A, what are your thoughts on this? Like, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what the agenda is? What are they trying to? What is the government trying to do? Well, specifically here in the States, like I understand there's like almost like a global agenda going on at the same time. But what are your thoughts? Like, what's going on here in the States?
I've been hearing a lot about like the martial law, and then even
you think they'll actually do that here in California?
You can get a lot of shit done when people are just staying at home. When people aren't out and about watching things and like seeing what's happening here or there, like you can get away with a lot more things when there's no prying eyes on stuff.
True.
And that's my thing is they're gonna do what they're gonna do. We have to try to know as much as we can about what they might be planning to do, but at the same time, we can still do what we got to do. We still got to be able to take care of our take care of what we got to take care of. They're like whatever they have planned, it probably isn't for our best interest. We have to decide and come together, amongst our own, family and friends, our own like groups, and decide for ourselves, like, okay, hey, what's kind of the game plan here, like if they start moving in directions that aren't, beneficial to us, what are we kind of do about it? Because they already are, like, think of like the massive unemployment, that's happening.
Yeah, it's already that's happened, but
that's it's gonna have effects.
Didn't the governor already expand this out until May? I don't remember the date now, but we're out until May now, aren't we?
I heard May 15th, and I heard May 31st. So yeah, like that's that's a big chunk of time for like things aren't gonna be
And
the same
then
again. This is like the first time ever in history that there's been like a lockdown like this.
and then I think he was talking about trying to keep social distancing in place until 2022. I'm not sure why that date. I'm not sure why he picked out 2 years from now. And I'm like,
That's
kind of
crazy.
what the guy from Stanford was bringing up. What's the game plan? Like nobody's talked about what is the game plan against this coronavirus? You know what I'm saying? Like
Again,
nobody said that. You know?
I think back to I don't know too much about like the history of World War II, but I do know you
Yeah,
see you see you see all those people lined up to get on the trains.
I was just listening to
I mean
there's
that
a
like
sometimes
sometimes
there's a podcast people might want to listen to. It's Jocko Wilkins or Willix or whatever his name is.
yeah
Jocko podcast,
yeah
and he's talking. He's a Navy SEAL. He's talking to one of the last surviving Jewish uh, people who survived the Holocaust. You know,
uh-huh.
and she was talking about that. She was talking about like how where she was at in Hungary or whatever. It went from one day they were like, okay, we need to start. You guys can no longer go to school. You guys can no longer be outside. You guys can no longer be outside after night. You guys yes, no longer own businesses. It's just like happened. Like little steps were taken. Next, you know, they were completely put inside their homes, wherever. And then one day, after everybody was already inside and nobody could be outside anymore, next, you know, the army rolls in and everybody gets fucking taken out of their houses and put into chains. You know, and like without any force, without any resistance. Like here is the government coming in and pulling people out of their houses because nobody could be out. Nobody could be outside to resist this. You know.
Right.
You can't be in groups to fucking try to fight this off. Like here we are, just coming in, easily pulling people out when we need to, you know.
That's like,
and I'm like, and when I heard this today, I was like, dude, like that's kind of not saying that's truly what's going on here, but I'm like, that's kind of what's going on here, you know.
it's
like
it's too close for comfort.
Yeah, exactly. Like how you were saying, like there was incremental steps of what they did to start shutting everything out. Like no more than 250, no more than 100, no more than 50, no more than 10 people in a fucking place. No eating in at a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
only takeout. Okay. And next, you know, like these little steps are taken. For all I know, like you're bringing on martial law. Who knows? They might throw in martial law and be like, hey, now the fucking National Guard's gonna be patrolling the streets and you can't be outside whatsoever. You know?
If you step outside, you will be shot.
You will be shot, and that's kind of what was going on to them. You know?
Yeah.
And that was their fear. Their fear was like, if we don't fucking agree, if we don't do what they tell us to do, we'll get shot. We'll just get killed. Like people were getting killed just in fucking out in public, you know.
That's why I like James Corbett, because the video I was watching of him today, I believe it was today, it might have been yesterday, but he was saying, someone asked, it was on another one of the questions for Corbett, they asked him if were people protesting the lockdown, like the stay-at-home orders, and he's like, oh, it's funny that you should ask, because if you were to search that on Google, or he's like, and increasingly DuckDuckGo, that used to be a place you can go to, like, to get, like better search results, that weren't as like censored, or
You called it Google Lite.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Google Lite now, along with a start page. But yeah, he's like, if you were to Google that, you wouldn't know it, or you'd be directed towards articles and information that calls those people crazy conspiracy theorists and nut jobs for protesting the lockdown. And so he was showing like footage of all the different people who were protesting, or who were going outside and be like, no, we ain't gonna go along with this. And that's a little bit more how I feel. It's like, and that's what he was saying. He was saying, if you don't protest and push back now, there'll be a time when you can't. There'll be like, if you don't, if enough people push back against it, enough, and again, a lot of people are. Fear is a powerful thing, man. It gets a hold of everybody in different kind of ways,
True.
But people are a lot more dangerous when they're in a state of fear and panic. When they're afraid, not just for themselves, like what about, like, I like the way James Corbett says it, like, it's like you're being put in a situation where you just doing your normal thing, you could be accused of murder because you spread this virus to somebody who who was more susceptible to it. He's like, oh, this person contracted it from you because you went outside. So therefore, you know, you're no better than a murderer. Because you went outside. So I mean, to combat that, knowledge and information, quality information, is important to combat the fear. And that's one thing that, again, like I said, there's unanswered questions and unasked questions, and different issues that aren't being brought up. And one of them being, like, what can you do to help with your health? To fight it off better. These things aren't brought up at all. Like I'll hear people like in small instances bring it up. Like the case of like vitamin C, how in Wuhan, once they started introducing high dose vitamin C, intravenous vitamin C, their cases of deaths from the coronavirus went down. There's things that that people can do to help boost their immune system, to help fight it off better. Vitamin C, vitamin D, and what depletes, what makes people vitamin D deficient? No sunlight. If you're staying indoors all day, you're not getting any sunlight. You're not getting none of that vitamin D, which is an important part of helping keeping your immune system strong.
Yeah.
Exercise, going out and breathing fresh air.
That is the one thing I have been seeing a lot of, and I'm kind of happy to see that.
That's good.
A lot of people outside walking,
yeah,
walking their dogs, walking with their kids.
Every time I see somebody outside without a mask, I'm like, hell yeah! I'm like, woo!
The bad thing is I usually see them out there with masks, though.
Yeah, but not I haven't seen everyone with masks. When I go out for my run in the morning, I won't wear a mask.
Like, I don't wear a mask while I run either.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I can't. I have a hard time like breathing as it is. I don't want a mask in the way while I'm trying to breathe,
Right. But yeah, like that's why I like listening to Gary Null, because that's his like main thing. Like if you take care of your health, everything else is good. Like, you don't have to worry so much about all the other stuff. Because if you're keeping your immune system strong, if you're not depleting it by too much meat, too much alcohol, too much sugar, too much processed food, and what's all still open? McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Carl's Jr., all their drive-thrus, Like, it's funny how they don't, they're not talking about, oh, you need to eat healthier, you need to have more, fruits and vegetables. No, just keep doing what you're doing.
Have you heard that the whole talk about the supply chain being interrupted because of this?
Yeah.
And that there's a shitload of food that's actually spoiling and going to and it's going to waste, basically.
Yep. Gary Null was just talking about that on a show today, that a bunch of farmers aren't able to. That's what he was saying, because some of the stuff he sells on his site is like the powders. Like,
yeah.
He has like the green stuff. It has like all the different all the important dehydrated whatever kale, spinach, all that kind of stuff. And he said he ordered however many thousands of units. And he wanted to order more, but the manufacturers weren't able to produce it because the farmers aren't able to do their full harvest, because they don't have enough workers to do it. Again, because people are scared, they're not going outside, or like I'm not going out there. Like, what if I get the virus? And so yeah, that's I've been seeing a lot of that. Like, a lot of food's been going to waste because there's no one to harvest it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be like I said, like the effects over time of this stuff is gonna be things that we never dealt with before.
True, and whatever, we're like a little bit over a month and a half into this.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy already,
Yeah.
I think what's interesting to me is how easily people fall into compliance, and a part of me goes like, that just shows how good natured people are in general,
And that's one thing I want to speak to. I'm glad you brought that up. Is that's one thing that people don't realize the system is really good at doing, is exploiting people's better nature. I see it. I'm sure you see it all the time. People's good intention and goodwill is like manipulated and kind of used against them.
True. And this is like a perfect spotlight on it. You know, like how
Yeah.
easily like because like most people want to think like everybody out there is some kind of fucking jerk or something and doesn't really care, doesn't really want,
Hmm.
uh, doesn't really care for the survival of anybody else but themselves. You know, and the opposite is true. You know, like I think what I see out there because of everybody wearing their masks is like people aren't trying to get everybody sick. Like they're trying to be responsible in a sense. You know,
Yeah.
they're trying to comply because like they don't want to get grandma sick. They don't want to get their fucking old uncle sick. You know.
Right.
Like that's the fear, you know. Like you don't want to get your relatives sick, and I get that. I understand that, but it's crazy to me. Like nobody asks questions and everybody just falls into compliance. It's so easily exploited.
Yeah.
What you're seeing.
Like that reminds me of that one documentary you sent me, Human Resources. Human Resources.
Yeah,
That one was a really good documentary showing, like it's not, you can't blame people 100% like that, because there's lots of forces working against them,
true.
like powerful forces working against you, trying to keep you ignorant, trying to keep you compartmentalized. Oh, don't worry about all that stuff. Just worry about your little bubble. You know, and so yeah, when people are put in situations that are outside of their awareness, they have no choice than to follow along with what's being presented to them by the quote unquote authorities. The experts.
Yeah,
When people don't realize, like, you're the only true expert on your own life. Like if you're an expert in anything, it's your own life. And then being able to hopefully uh, be aware enough, and that's what's cool about the internet, that people can share ideas like this. Can point out to, hey, check this guy's information out. Like when I was younger, my biggest flaw, and even to extent runs into today, is uh, hubris and arrogance. And I believe that that's something that people who are smart or intelligent, I think that's something that, like, a lot of smart and intelligent people suffer from. Like, oh, I know more than you, therefore I know better than you. So I should be able to say, like, what I know is more than what you know. So listen to me. I have all the answers. And that's what, unfortunately, people kind of play themselves when they go down that, when they go too far down that road of arrogance and hubris. Like, oh, I know, you can't know more than me. I know everything about everything. There's nothing you can tell me that's going to change my mind on this or that. Like, that's that's the height of arrogance and hubris. There's always more to
that
know.
was interesting part about that conversation with that podcast sent you with the MD from Harvard, you know,
Hmm.
and he was bringing up because he did have some hubris himself. Like he did have like that arrogance to himself. We're being put in this position, but he's also trying to be humble about it. Like if we're truly being put in this position, then we should actually be telling people the truth. You know, like no, we don't have these numbers. We don't know how many people, what the actual death rate is. We don't know what the rate of infection really is because we don't have these numbers out there. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
we don't. We're not testing people for antibodies. Like we're just guessing at all this shit. And if we're truly guessing, like we should tell people like this is all just guesswork right now. You know, like we don't know the real numbers. If if people are gonna put us in those positions to like be in positions of like almost in positions of power, you know,
Yeah.
like that's how the medical community kind of is right now. They're like the scientists who are doing research on this stuff. They're in positions of power right now. And he was bringing up that fact, like if we're going to be put in those positions, we should at least tell them the truth. Like we don't, we're all guessing right now. Like,
Right.
we might have the numerator, but we don't have the denominator to give you a real answer on what the equation should give you. You know,
Yeah. That's one of the
because
things that
we're not doing that kind of testing. Like we're testing people if they're positive, but we're not testing if people are creating antibodies. Like you brought that up, and I was like, that's interesting. You know?
yeah. That's something I talk about. Wouldn't the mortality rate go down the more people get tested and test positive for it, but don't die from it?
True.
So like, again, it's it's speculation, because, like, we're no one's sure about any of the numbers, or how they're collecting them, or to what standards that these tests are being held to. but they are like everyone is kind of playing into the fear and panic of it. Like they're hyping up the fear and panic of it. Like, what was it? I think on Democracy Now. There was like 2,400 deaths in the last 24 hours. So that's like 100 people died an hour from coronavirus. And I was like, that's kind of, you know, like where like, again, like where are those numbers coming from?
Yeah, where are those numbers coming from?
Yeah.
I do know 2 people who have it, and they tell me they're not showing any symptoms. Like they're like, we tested positive, so we're staying at home because we tested positive for this shit.
Yeah.
But they're like, we don't feel sick when we're on our 2nd week. Like we should be definitely sick right now, but we feel fine. We're not showing any symptoms for this shit, you know.
That's what's again like unasked questions. Like how come they're not being interviewed or studied? You know, like, hey, what's up with you? Like, why aren't you, you know?
Why aren't you dying?
Yeah.
Like everybody else is dying from this.
But all they show is all the deaths and all the people suffering from it and all the, you know, and even Gary Null was saying is like most of the average age of people dying from coronavirus is still like, I think it was at the beginning it was like 80 and now it's like down to like 70 in the 70s, age wise. I mean, it's still, you know, there's still more information needed to be able to say when like how bad it could be or how, you know, how severe. Because again, it's Gary Null talks about this. So I'm not saying that there's no coronavirus or doesn't need to be concerned about it. He's like, where's the concern for all the other things that are like might be even more deadly than this? Where's the concern? Where's the, you know, where's the outrage? Where's the talk of all the numbers who, you know, those who died from, you know, strokes or heart attacks or car accidents or suicide, you know, like, or
suicide's true, yeah.
Like, why aren't these other issues being brought up? Why is it just this?
There's been plenty of articles lately written about the fact, like, heads up, when we come out of this and people go back into the economy, like the amount of people committing suicide is probably going to be astronomical, you know, because like there's going to be a lot of people who fall into massive amounts of debt.
Yeah.
Like you were bringing up, like just because they're telling you they're furloughing your your rent for right now doesn't mean that they don't want that shit when you come out of this. They're just going to be tagging that shit on, you know?
Yeah. And that's what's weird. Like, a lot of people are going to lose out, and some people won't lose. There's that guy from Best Evidence. Have you been watching any of his videos?
Yeah, that guy's interesting. That guy's videos, I highly recommend them.
I was watching one last night, and he was talking about. He was like, the nature of the relationship between the people and the banks and the Federal Reserve and all that stuff. And he's like, your whole job at the Federal Reserve is never gonna lose money. He's like, the people's job is to be the chump. Like the Federal Reserve is a private organization, it's a private entity, so their profits are guaranteed. You know, they're gonna make sure that they get their profits, and any losses that they might incur, they're not gonna incur them. They go onto the people. So you're the necessary part. You know, like you're the designated chump.
Exactly.
To take the losses that are gonna eventually come on down the line. You know.
Well, that was the interesting part when that's why I recommend people watch his videos. It was interesting to hear him bring up the fact, like, from their own words, because the guy was the Fed from New York or whatever, bringing up our money markets are separate. Like the money market we deal with and the money market that the public deals with are separate, and they don't interfere with each other. So if something goes wrong with the Fed money market, it has no effect on the public money market. But it was interesting because like they were bringing up, oh no, we're releasing this giant stimulus out because we fear that the Federal Reserve's money market is going to it's directly going to affect the public because of this coronavirus. You know, like they were bringing up the fact that the coronavirus is going to affect the public, and that's why we're dumping this giant stimulus into the Fed. You know?
Yeah.
But even from their own words, like they don't fucking interfere with each other. Like there's no from your own words, like there's no reason for that, you know? Like you're just basically doing that because somebody's getting paid. Somebody's in there with their hand right in the fucking bank's money. You know?
That's the one on why is the Fed lying about coronavirus?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that one, right? Yeah. Yeah, because they were talking about their reserves and how, how the banks down the line, Chase, Wells Fargo, and all those ones get their money, and then how the people get their they're like separate things, but then we try to make it sound like, oh, we're doing this to help with because of the economy
The
crash. It's like,
economy,
no,
you
like
know?
these things are this it's kind of like it's not how that's set up.
Exactly.
That's a lie.
That's a blatant lie. Like you guys, even from your own words, you guys are lying.
Now, I have a question for you.
What's up, man?
What like how are you? What kind of preparations are you kind of making, or what's kind of what goes through your head about like not so much about what they're doing, but like what we should be doing?
Well, I'll speak directly to some of the things I'm doing to prepare myself for all these things that are kind of going down.
Hmm.
And one of the things I've actually started doing is I went ahead and bought. Uh, I know I'm kind of a little late to the season, but I bought a bunch of seeds so I could start planting food for myself, starting this summer season and moving on to the fall. So I bought plants that would actually go along with the seasons.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start growing my own food because I don't want to deal with this if we do come to the eventuality that the supply at the markets are actually low.
Right.
And at the same time, that gives me a resource to barter if I
Hmm.
want to barter.
Yep.
Because I don't want to be too dependent on the money aspect of it because of the fact that what they're doing right now is completely inflating our system, which means it's inflating our dollar, which means our dollar might be worth nothing here pretty soon.
Right.
If you're smart about it, you'll start to notice that.
Yeah.
Like all these things are doing come with like crazy things attached. Like it's not they're not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. So there's a bunch of shit going on.
Yep.
So I'm making sure to do that, and at the same time, like I eat a lot of canned food anyways, but I have enough canned food to last me a couple of months,
Right.
and I made sure to stock up on that kind of stuff. Like I'm not too worried about the toilet paper situation. I can more than likely wash my ass if I need to.
Exactly.
I'm more worried about actual food.
Yeah.
People are worried about water, and I'm like, if I guess if your water situation is really that bad, you might want to start boiling your water, not to worry about the water situation.
Yeah.
I have a hiking filter that if I'm really worried about filtering water out of the fucking sink, I guess I could filter my water through my hiking filter that I have.
Mhm.
Those are the small things I'm doing. Money wise though, like I'm not positive what to do with about the money situation. Like I think we're a little too late right now in the game to go buy gold or go buy something else like that.
Yeah.
Because right now that shit's overinflated.
Right.
And I think anytime you start playing around with the currencies that are at the top echelon, it's like you run into problems. You're better off dealing with things that you could truly just barter with your neighbor if you need to.
Exactly.
What are you doing? So what are you doing to prepare?
Well, for one thing, doing things like this with the podcast, getting ideas out, having conversations with people about like what they're doing. But same thing like you're talking about. I'm trying to get more into gardening, and even like I said, I haven't started yet. Need to. But promoting people who are doing that already.
Mhm.
Back before this whole thing went down, the farmers market in Cherry Valley was supposed to start back up. That got kind of canceled, and that was a nice place to go because you can kind of support people in your area, which is gonna be another thing that's gonna be necessary. We're gonna have to take kind of like support each other as best we can. And one of the farms, Goody Farm, is one that I support, and I'm gonna see what I can like learn from them. And like you said, taking care of your food situation. You already know this, but I've been vegan for a few years now, so not that that's the answer, because there's lots of junk vegan food out there.
True.
But yeah, understanding the importance of your health, and that's one thing I want to help to talk about more and promote on this podcast is people's ability to take their health back into their hands. That's one thing.
Exactly.
That's one thing you do have control over.
I've been trying to tell people that lately is like this is a perfect time for you to take care of all that stuff. Like you've been given this opportunity to kind of make sure that your health is in line. Like heads up, like all this material shit that's around you can easily be taken away if they really want to.
Yeah.
And if you fell victim into that, like heads up, like you still have a chance to take care of your health and make sure that that's in line. Because that should be priority number one, anyways. Fuck the material shit, anyways.
Yeah.
Number one thing should be your health.
Because without your health, like all the other stuff, just
it's pointless.
Yeah. Like imagine all the people who have money or whatever, and they're sick and dying from coronavirus right now. Like and there might have been things they could have done to help mitigate or prevent that by focusing more on their health.
True.
And so yeah, like you said, like the food situation, start growing food. Now in terms of the money situation, like you said, it's probably my turn to bartering. But in the meantime, I'm one of the people who worked in the food service and restaurant industry, so my shit got cut way back.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I'm not just sit here and expect this stimulus check. It's cool if it comes, like if it's cool, it is what they say it is, and it's good if it's as good as they say it is, And there are no strings of tax, and it's tax free, like and all that. Awesome, excellent, But I'm not gonna just rely on that being the case. So in the meantime, I've been noticing people through like social media kind of doing their own thing with the food stuff. One guy who was a vendor at one of the farmers markets in Loma Linda, he did vegan pizzas, Love Amaro Pizza. He's actually now, because there's no real like farmers markets. There are a few, but because people are social distancing and all that stuff, you can't really have like crowds and stuff like that. So what he's been doing, he's been selling it out of his apartment, and just doing it through like accepting money through Venmo, and things like that. So that's what I'm gonna start doing like here at my place. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, the Full Spectrum Experience is sponsored in part by the Vegan Supreme.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm gonna start doing that again, like offering healthy alternatives if people want to. The cool thing about how I kind of approach stuff was not to toot my own horn or whatever, but you can make delicious food that's actually healthy for you, and it actually tastes it's like delicious and gourmet, and it has like flavor and texture and all that stuff, and it doesn't have to take away from your health like a lot of the easy fast food and processed food does. So that's one thing I'm doing, and one thing I'm doing to kind of one way I'm doing that, trying to do that better is incorporating food from people's like local gardens, people who doing like their own organic gardening, like all right, let me see what they got and how to incorporate what they got into ingredients into what I'm making. So
that's cool.
An example was there's a bread place in Calamasa, Village Bread. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they do vegan bread.
Yeah.
And so today, I actually went out and bought some of their. I had a pre-order yesterday, and got some of their like potato buns. So I'm gonna be doing barbecue black bean burgers. And
that sounds good, huh?
Yeah, so there's ways you can kind of move towards having taking better care of your health, but not feeling like you're deprived or like, oh, I can't have this or that, I can't have ice cream anymore. Like come to the Vegan Supreme, we got non-dairy ice cream, made with coconut cream and sweetened with maple syrup.
So, I get to test that one. That was actually really good. I liked it.
Yeah. So I've been making my own kombucha, which is a fermented tea drink. Doing shrubs. So I've been kind of, it takes time, and I can only do it because I have support. I got my family, and family and friends. You came out to hang out, a couple of times when I've been out at the farmers market,
Yeah.
and trying to rebuild the community. Because right now you kind of see, especially with what's going down, how like you were saying, this is an easy way to break down a community, get people to stay away from each other. Uh,
Hmm.
get people just staying in their homes and like avoiding other people. Like I understand like the necessary, me I'm less worried about because I do take care of my health, but like there are people I like we all know the people who have immune systems that are compromised. They're like their health's like a little bit in deterioration. So helping on that area.
That was an
Uh,
interesting topic from that lady from the Holocaust. She was bringing up the fact that back in her time, I think it was her husband's family.
mhm,
The way that they were trying to escape it was they were trying to move to. They were living in the city of Berlin when all this went down,
mhm,
and they decided to move to that's the farmland, trying to move to a farm because I guess they had a grandma who had a very self-sufficient farm, but they weren't farmers. They were living in the city already. They weren't used to that lifestyle, but they at least had somebody in their family who had a very self-sufficient farm already. Like had uh, on their farm they were already growing wheat, they were growing corn, they had cows and chickens and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like obviously this is stuff you need to actually maintain, but like the big point to now is like you don't see that anymore. You don't really see people who are very self sufficient like that, who have self sufficient farms.
mhm,
You could truly just live off their farmland. Like, oh, okay, I don't really need. I could I could support my community around me and maybe feed myself and feed maybe a couple people around me,
yeah,
and barter around me, if I need to.
right. And then one of the other things I'm actually doing, or I'm gonna start doing, I haven't really kind of talked about it too much, but I'm gonna start. I'm still trying to figure out how to implement it, move it forward. And one of the things I'm thinking about trying to do is, have you heard of Derek Rose Freedom Cells?
Yeah, yeah, I've heard of that.
I actually like kind of created one. Just the
Okay.
names right now. I haven't really connected with anybody through it yet. But that's another thing I'm looking to do is right now. You sent me that article about and me and Arnold were talking about it. How all the stuff that's going down is going to increase people's stress levels. Like anxiety, depression, panic attacks, all that kind of stuff. You're going to see that stuff skyrocket again, and so people are going to be turning to you know
I think that was the last discussion we had, and that you were probably. I hate to say it, but you guys are probably right. We're probably going to see like a skyrocketing amount of people back into addictive drugs.
right. So
Using a.
one thing I'm going to do to help like combat that, or people who are looking for a better way forward, is like offering kind of like a mental health type service, and that's through like you do meditation and yoga, so you understand like the value of it and the importance of it to keep your
Mhm.
keep your mind straight. Uh, offering like hypnotherapy sessions and guided meditations help people with stress relief and just like relaxation therapy in general, because that's an important part, man. If you can keep your mind straight, like a lot of the stuff won't affect you as much in terms of like bringing on anxiety, depression, and things like that.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna start figuring out how to do that. I might start off doing like group sessions just to get people familiar with what it is, and then through that, and even through doing the podcast, letting people know like if you're interested in that type of stuff, or if you know people who are who would benefit from it and wanna try it out.
Well, I think that's like you brought up, and that was the main point of the story. Is like I think there was a better sense of community back in the days compared to now, and I think that's the cool thing about this podcast is
Yeah,
it's all trying to revitalize the sense of community around you. Like meet
right.
your neighbors, find out who people are around you. Like
Yeah,
you might you might be able to help them out and help each other out.
yeah,
Through barter, through whatever, however you need to actually help each other out.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
That's one reason I'm glad you're part of this, because you know we're on the same wavelength in that kind of area.
Exactly. Yeah, glad to be on this, man.
Yeah.
And I think on that note, I'm ready to cut it. You ready to cut
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. So
Uh,
I'm gonna try to
Leave
do
that on
this.
here.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do this every Thursday at 6. If that works. Right now we're trying to figure it out because I'm sure everyone's situation's kind of upside down and inside out, and trying to figure out how to
The
move
best
things
time.
in a new direction. So
Yeah, we'll have to try to see how we get Arnold on here, but I'm
yeah,
really hoping to get hoping to get Arnold on this as well. You know.
yeah, and I'm gonna be trying to do this more often, as I can. Now that I know I can do it live, I might just do it that way. That way, I prefer like the freestyle flow more. It's a little bit, might be a little more rough in some areas, but that's all right because like I was saying earlier at the beginning when I first started it, we're gonna be learning and growing as we go. It's a learn and grow as
Hey,
we go operation.
a lot of the original podcasts, a lot of stuff I listened to, they were pretty rough. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
As we go along, this will probably get a lot easier.
Yeah, I expected it to be that way at the beginning. Still getting used to
Exactly.
all this stuff. Yeah. So with that, whoever's watching this, if you're checking this out, hope we provided some information or ideas to help stimulate your mind and think of things in a different way, and maybe you'll start questioning what's really going on, and who knows, you might have like a piece of the puzzle that we don't have.
Exactly.
So
if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them off. You know.
yeah, next time,
Send them our way.
next time, I'll try to promote it better through social media and whatnot, so that we can have people in the chat, and then we can kind of participate that way. You might start seeing me, post on other people's chats when they go live or in their comment sections.
Cool. Oh yeah.
So
I'll try to do the same thing.
Yeah. So with that, thanks Andy for coming on today.
Hey man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, and everybody else, thanks for tuning in to the Full Spectrum Experience. Until next time.